Hi.
Hola.
Hi, hier ist Mr. Döse.
This is Michael Bradley.
Hey, I'm Memphis.
Hey.
Hola. Hello.
I'm here with soccer.com.
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 And I'm talking with my friends soccer.com.
See you soon.
Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the made in Japan Mizuno Wave Ignitus 4 in the latest neon yellow colorway. Now included with the shoes inside the box is a boot bag, black in color with gold made in Japan and Mizuno branding, and inside this smaller bag is actually a leather care kit. So inside you're going to find a little instruction pamphlet that I have right here. So on the inside, basically, it just gives you some very basic instructions on how to actually apply or use the leather care kit. Also inside, they include a little tube of what is a leather cream, and then they also include an applicator cloth, which you are going to need for that leather cream. And this is really all you need to take care of these shoes, being that this does have a partially kangaroo leather upper. Follow the instructions in the pamphlet and you're not going to have any issues at all. Of course, along with all those extras, you get these guys right here, the shoes themselves, which are extremely nice. Mizuno makes very good products. The made in Japan products specifically are even nicer than the regular ones. And when you're talking about the Wave Ignitus 4, the made in Japan model, in my opinion, is significantly nicer than the standard variations of the shoe. A lot more expensive, but you get what you pay for with this particular variation. So in today's video, we are going to take a closer look at the colorway, talk tech specs and performance with the Wave Ignitus 4, which is a pretty unique shoe in today's current marketplace. We're going to take a look at the weight, as well as how they fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, there'll be a little pop-up on screen, as well as a link in the description that'll take you directly to the review page on my website. And on that page, you will find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $280 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, pop up on screen, link in the description, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk tech specs and performance. Now, this is a made in Japan version of the Wave Ignitus 4, and anytime you see made in Japan next to a Mizuno shoe, the price is going to basically double. So if you really want this particular shoe, you can get it for a lot less in the form of a regular Wave Ignitus 4, which is made in Indonesia. And really the place where it's made is not necessarily what determines the quality. It's just the process that's different between the Indonesian made pairs and the made in Japan pairs. And with this particular shoe, there are some physical differences, mainly with the upper, that I think make a pretty big difference with the Wave Ignitus 4. And the biggest difference between the made in Japan and the regular version for the Wave Ignitus 4 is the fact that this shoe does have some kangaroo leather right here, which isn't a lot. It's basically from this seam to this seam, but it makes a big difference in terms of the flexibility of the shoe, and the synthetics they use in general just feel softer and more comfortable on your foot on the made in Japan model versus the regular one, which is still a very, very good shoe. Keep that in mind. As far as differences in construction beside the materials themselves, basically when you build a shoe, you take the upper, you take the sole plate, and you have what's called a last, which is the shape of the foot, the shape of the shoe, if you will. They wrap the upper around that last, and of course fix the sole plate to the bottom, and it sits on the last for the actual glue slash kind of shoe cement to dry and bond the two to make it one. Now in a normal kind of mass production shoe assembly line, the shoe will sit on the last for about 20 minutes before it's removed, whereas with the made in Japan Mizunos, the shoes actually sit on the last for 24 hours, which is a lot longer than the average shoe. And as far as how many they're making, these are not as highly mass produced, if that makes any sense. What Mizuno says, and this is something that I can't really confirm, but they claim that for every one pair of made in Japan Mizunos that are produced, 72 pairs of regular shoes are produced in another factory of a regular shoe, if you will. So a little bit more attention to detail, a little bit more of a hands-on process. And again, that's supposed to reflect in the quality, which I definitely can say the made in Japan models are better quality than the regular variations. And in the case of the Wave Ignitus 4, it is my preferred variation of the shoe just because of that little bit of leather and the softer synthetics in general. So for me, the Wave Ignitus 4 at least, I think is worth the extra money for the made in Japan variation. Now, in terms of what the Wave Ignitus 4 has on offer, it's kind of the last shoe in what is now a dying breed of soccer cleat, the power boot, if you will. being that this shoe does have the large rubberized striking element, which was obviously a prominent feature with the Adidas Predators and the Nike T90s, which are both now gone and wiped from existence, likely to never be seen again, or at least for the near future. We're probably not going to see anything like that from either Nike or Adidas. So with Mizuno, we have the Wave Ignitus 4. This is, if you were a fan of the Preds or the T90s, I think your next best bet, and really, like I said, your only option, and it's a good option at that. I'm not just saying buy this shoe if you like rubberized striking elements because it's the only one. It is the only one, but I really legitimately think that this is a very, very good shoe, on par with anything Nike or Adidas has produced, I guess, at the end of the Predators and the T90 run, because obviously people have their favorites along the history of those two lines. But nonetheless, what you're getting with this upper is kangaroo leather here at this little front chunk, and the quality of the leather is very, very good. You have synthetic right here on the lateral side, synthetic on the underside of the striking element, and then some synthetic right here, which has a little bit of a padded insert, something we'll talk about in just a second. So the actual striking element itself is what they call the biopanel striking element. And what it is a rubberized element that does have some cutouts to it, there for mainly flexibility, and some texturing in the form of what are basically little teeth. So you're not going to find that this is the stickiest rubber in the world. It runs right to the base of the sole plate. It's more of just rubber for the sake of having that kind of pingy sensation when you hit the ball. There's not a lot of extra bulk to this element, which I think is a good thing because it doesn't take away from the feel of the ball. But when you do make contact when shooting, it does provide that extra grip, and it does have that sensation of a rubberized striking element that I'm personally a really big fan of, and I know a lot of people really like as well. What I also like about this striking element is it goes right to the tip of the toe. So it's kind of an awkward joint right here, but it goes right to the base of the sole, right to the tip of the toe, and covers the majority of the forefoot, which when you're hitting an outside bend, for example, you're gonna kind of hit this area of the shoe, and it's gonna come in contact and roll off your foot, still using the striking element. So you're gonna feel this element pretty much with every strike of the ball, which I think is a very, very good thing. And I just like it when the shoe has a striking element that's gonna be noticeable almost every time that you kick the ball, and this one definitely does have that kind of aspect to it. Now these little panels right here, the raised areas, these are what they call the dead ball zone, or this is what they call the dead ball zone. And basically they're just kind of memory foam inserts in the actual upper of the shoe. Now these memory foam inserts is what they call the dead ball zone for the sake that when you strike the ball using kind of a knuckleball technique, these little pads are supposed to help to eliminate the spin on the ball, help you to achieve the effect a little bit more easily. It still requires technique. These are not going to make your knuckleball, this is not going to make your knuckleball free kick better or worse. It's just kind of one of those features that they incorporated in there. In my opinion, more of a gimmicky thing, but it is something that we have seen before from other brands, and I don't mind it on the shoe at all. When you are passing or receiving passes, having this memory foam in the midfoot, I actually think is a pretty nice thing, and I don't really have any complaints regarding that aspect of the shoe. The laces are off-centered, as you guys can see, being pushed slightly to the lateral side of the upper. You have lots and lots of lace holes, so you're able to get a nice secure fit, and the way the shoe fits and feels, I think, is unlike what a lot of people would expect based on how they look. So I'll talk about that more during the on-feet portion of the video. The tongue is a synthetic material with a thin memory foam layer running all the way through, which feels nice and comfortable. Lower cut at the sides, a little bit higher at the back. It's got a nice solid sensation when these shoes are on your feet with this big heel counter that we'll get to in just a second. Synthetic suede liner in the heel with a decent amount of padding, which feels very, very comfortable. No heel slippage issues whatsoever. The insole, fully removable. It features kind of like a rougher mesh material that helps to grip your sock on the surface. And then it's a single layer of this black foam with a blue foam insert in the heel. Nothing too fancy, but it does get the job done, and it's a good insole overall. And then, of course, moving on to the heel counter and sole plate, it is one piece, as you can see. Heel counter is huge, does a really good job of keeping your heel locked in place and preventing it from sliding side to side. It acts as a protective element to a certain extent as well because of how big it is. And then you have the sole plate, which features a couple different things. You have Mizuno Wave technology, which is what you see right here. Now this is something you're going to find in their running line, and basically these little cutouts, or the separation between the studs and the actual sole plate / heel counter, is supposed to act as kind of like an impact absorption feature, if you will. Not really something that you're going to notice on the shoe. I would say it's more of a gimmicky thing, but it definitely does look very cool. I'll give them that. The sole plate itself is a plastic material, has some good flexibility to it, and the stud pattern is very good. It's focused around striking the ball, kind of similar to what Puma is currently doing with the Evo Power 1.3s, where you're supposed to plant on the outside of your foot and then kind of teeter over and then finish back off on the outside. It's a similar thing. That's why you kind of see the line flowing through there. But it's a very, very good stud pattern, this being a firm ground stud pattern, by the way. It's a little bit unusual in terms of the surface area that it covers. It's not the most aggressive thing just because the studs are on the larger side in terms of the face that they have. But they're very, very good for harder ground, for example, just because you do have that larger surface area. But even on nice fields, the traction is still very good. The shoe is very stable. And because the studs are a little bit larger, it kind of distributes the pressure very evenly. So stud pressure and just general comfort under your foot is very good. This is a good stud pattern. Can't really compare it to anything else out there just because it is particularly unique. But it does get the job done, and you're unlikely to have any issues with it at all. Not ideal for softer ground, but it's not a soft ground stud pattern, of course. One last thing to mention is the two rivets here at the tip of the toe. And again, durability is always a strong suit when it comes to Mizuno products, be it a regular one or a made in Japan model. But if you're looking for just a really well-built, durable pair of shoes in general, you can bet your money that these are going to last a pretty long time. So if that's something that's important to you, Mizuno as a brand, and specifically the Wave Ignitus model, is, like I said, a pretty good investment if you're looking for a pair of shoes to last as long as possible. There's no saying how long they'll last, but they're likely to be fairly durable shoes. In terms of weight, the Wave Ignitus 4 is a lot lighter than you might expect it to be, especially in comparison to similarly styled T90s and Predator models that obviously weren't the lightest thing in the world. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind that this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. I'm going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 8 ounces exactly, the equivalent of 227 grams. So again, from a weight standpoint, these are relatively lightweight. Are they the lightest things in the world? Absolutely not. But being at the 8 ounce range, that is 2 ounces lighter than what you would find for most T90 and Predator models. So from a weight standpoint, these are nice and lightweight. For comparison's sake, that's on par with something like an Adidas Ace 16 Plus Pure Control, for example, which is a shoe that, like I said, nobody views as heavy at all. So again, kind of a unique shoe in terms of what it has on offer. But if you were a fan of those older kind of T90 and Predator models with the large rubberized striking element, you're going to get that sensation from the Wave Ignitus 4 in a lighter package than you might expect, which is never a bad thing. As far as aesthetics and the overall colorway is concerned, I'm a big fan of the Wave Ignitus 4 look. It's a very modern, kind of aggressive, rugged looking shoe. This particular colorway is the brightest one that we've seen so far, combining neon yellow and what is essentially like a neon green color. And it's got that little bit of a split design to it, being that the lateral side is neon yellow and the medial side is kind of like a neon green. Obviously that colorway combination is going to be not for everybody. If you don't like particularly bright shoes, you're probably not going to be a huge fan of this colorway. But if you like bright things, especially neon yellow and neon green, I think this is a pretty good looking colorway. You have obviously the Ignitus and Mizuno branding in black across the entire shoe on the lateral side, as well as on the heel, and a little logo here on the medial side as well. The striking element's kind of cool in that the rubber is green, and then on the underside it is neon yellow. And then the sole plate is a combination of neon yellow and neon green as well, which again, I just think looks really, really good. I'm a fan of this look. I'm a fan of the colorway, even though, again, I'm not into wearing super bright shoes, but I think I could definitely get away with wearing these just because I really do like the Wave Ignitus 4. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the Wave Ignitus 4s on feet. On my left foot I have the stock neon yellow laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot I have a pair of wide green reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link in the description that'll take you directly there. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check it out. Now in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they are very comfortable shoes, especially the Made in Japan model because of the different synthetics and the kangaroo leather at the front of the shoe. It makes a big difference in terms of just the overall softness. The regular model can feel a little bit stiffer at first, and you just don't get that same stiffness with the Made in Japan model, which I think is a very positive thing. It feels much better out of the box and much better in the long run as well because the leather gets softer. It gives the shoe a little bit of freedom to kind of shape to your foot, if you will, whereas the regular synthetic is a little bit firmer overall and doesn't have quite as much stretch to it. So again, I really like how these feel. They have more of a snug fit, again, based on how they look, because I think the way they look, a lot of people would expect it to be just a wider shoe overall, kind of a bulkier feel, but you don't get that with this shoe. It fits pretty snug all the way through, not to the point where I would say that they're narrow, but there's not really any dead space on the inside, which I think is a very good thing. I'm a big fan of how these things fit. The heel lockdown is very good. The deep lacing system allows you to get a nice secure fit as well, so that plays a part in terms of just having the shoe feel nice and snug all the way through and eliminating any extra space on the inside. Width-wise, they're going to be suitable for most people. It's not a narrow shoe. They're not super, super wide, but like I said, I think they will be suitable for most people. And as long as you don't have extremely wide feet, you're likely to fit in these pretty comfortably. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Made in Japan Mizuno Wave Ignitus 4. If you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can check out the review page on my website. That'll be either the first link in the description, or you can click the little eye on the screen, and on that page you will find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $280 retail price. If you have any questions at all regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.